So for participating producers, this all adds up to more money and price stability. For the city of Gothenburg, it means new homes, an expanded tax base, and good news for local businesses, rather. Eric, back to you.
Well, Megan, as you know, Hastings and Kearney were contenders for the facility. Why did Frito-Lay choose Gothenburg?
Well, Eric, Frito-Lay told NTV News this morning that Gothenburg offered the best economic package as incentive. We do know the city of Gothenburg spent about 5 years and $80,000 on the recruitment process. Area farmers did pledge donations, but Gothenburg doesn't want to reveal the details of its incentive package until a formal agreement is made with Frito-Lay, and they expect that in the near future. Eric.
Megan, how soon is the plant expected to be up and running?
Well, construction will begin March 29th, and the facility should be in operation for the 1996 corn harvest. And we'll bring you more details and reaction from one area producer and from the city of Kearney tonight on NTV News at 6 and 10.
All right, that is some good news for Gothenburg. Thanks, Megan, for that report. We'll have more from you at 6 o'clock. That's NTV's Megan McDonnell reporting live on the phone from Gothenburg. Meantime, there is no decision yet on whether Micron Technology will move to Nebraska or build in Utah or Oklahoma. And apparently, company officials are not sure themselves. Micron has options on land in all 3 states. A Utah official said the Boise-based company has options to buy land in Nebraska and Oklahoma, in addition to 900 acres near Lehi, Utah. Micron plans to build a $1.3 billion microchip plant in one of the 3 states. An announcement will be made on Friday or on Monday. Nearly 3,000 businesses located in Nebraska have received some unwelcome mail from the Internal Revenue Service. The notices incorrectly charged companies for unemployment taxes from 1992. The IRS will now send out corrected letters stating that the businesses don't necessarily owe those taxes. Only about 300 of the businesses that received the notices actually owe the unemployment tax. Area law enforcement officers are still on the lookout for a Kearney area teen who ran away from home. 15-year-old Melanie Rogers left yesterday with nothing except the clothes she was wearing. Melanie is 5'6", 124 pounds, with long blonde hair and blue eyes. She was last seen wearing a Raiders jacket, jeans, and a T-shirt. Relatives think she headed toward Scotts Bluff with her boyfriend and another girl in a 1982 gray Buick Regal displaying in-transit tags. Anyone with information is asked to contact their local law enforcement agency. The Nebraska State Patrol is also asking for your help to find the man who abducted a 36-year-old woman from York on Monday. Authorities say the woman stopped to get gas about 2:15 Monday afternoon. When she returned to the car from paying, a man inside the vehicle told her to follow his instructions if she knew what was good for her. The woman drove toward Wood River and escaped when the suspect stopped to use an Interstate 80 rest area. The man is described as a white male in his early 20s, 5'10", with a slender build. He has medium-length brown hair and a large nose. If you've seen the man, you're asked to call the State Patrol at 308-385-6000. Lawyers on both sides of a Falls City triple murder case have completed closing arguments in the trial of Marvin Thomas Nissen. Now the case is about to go to the jury. The 23-year-old stands accused of killing 3 people in a rural Humboldt farmhouse in December 1993. The defense rested its case yesterday without calling any witnesses. Nissen and 23-year-old John Lauder are both charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder. Lauder faces trial in May. Attorneys for the South Carolina woman accused of drowning her 2 young sons suggest 2 possible pleas: guilty but mentally ill or innocent by reason of insanity. Susan Smith appeared in a York, South Carolina courtroom this morning. Today was the deadline for her attorneys to reveal what defense they might use. Smith could still die in the electric chair if found guilty but mentally ill. If found innocent by reason of insanity, she could face years in a mental health facility. Smith has confessed to drowning her 3-year-old son Michael and 14-month-old son Alex in a lake last October. A federal judge in New Jersey is throwing out part of the so-called Megan's Law. That law requires authorities to tell the public when a convicted sex offender is released into their community. The judge says it's unconstitutional. And that's just one of the other stories making news across America, as Mike Johnson reports.
Pink ribbons decorate the neighborhood where 7-year-old Megan Kanka lived before she was killed, allegedly by a sex offender who lived across the street. Megan's mother says a judge's decision to knock down the law that requires notification when a convicted sex offender is released into a community is a slap in the face.
I just look at the fact that I have a dead little girl, and and if there had been a community notification, that she would be alive today.
New Jersey's law was named after Megan, but the judge says it amounts to additional punishment for released sex offenders. A teacher in Tampa, Florida was able to save his job, but he says he learned a lesson after allowing this video of a drunk student to be shown in his classroom.
I guess one of the lessons they want me to learn, and it's a good one to learn, is I'll preview anything that comes into my classroom. Kevin
Rankin will serve a 10-day suspension. In New York, emergency workers made a frantic effort to save victims of a house fire, but 4 people died and 4 others, including a firefighter, were injured in the blaze. The cause of the fire was under investigation. 2 years after the deadly gun battle that triggered the long siege at the Branch Davidian compound in Waco, Texas, Davidians planted trees to remember those who were killed. At a memorial service for the federal agents who died, the director of the Association of Treasury Agents called for a new investigation. In Detroit, a case of self-defense. A 72-year-old Detroit woman says she had no choice but to shoot the man who came charging through her front window.
And I just shot. And then I shot again. They say I shot twice. I was so scared, I don't know what I did.
Dorothy White says she's never had any trouble around her house before. I'm Mike Johnson reporting.
Republicans in the U.S. Senate are having trouble coming up with the last vote needed to pass the balanced budget amendment, and because of that, lawmakers have abruptly recessed until midday tomorrow. Majority Leader Bob Dole called the recess as colleagues search for more support. The key appears to lie with North Dakota Democrat Kent Conrad. He wants guarantees that Congress will not raid Social Security trust funds to balance the budget. Well, it looks like any kind of warm-up we might have is being put off too. It's getting very cold.
Yeah, it's going to stay cold and on an off and on basis. Could continue to be a little snowy. These were some mid-morning snow depth reports of new snow, mostly around 2 inches in the western part of our viewing area, though Trenton, Nebraska said 3 inches at mid-morning, and Phillipsburg said they were approaching that. Heavier amounts in southwest Kansas with 5 inches at Dodge City, and that southwestern Kansas area could have upwards to 8 inches with a winter storm warning there. We'll review all of this in more detail shortly.
Thanks, Central Nebraska, for making NTV News #1. You're watching award-winning NTV News at noon with Eric Day with the news, Ralph Wall, weather, and Mark Baumert with the markets.
K&K Parts Annual Customer Appreciation Celebration is March 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Every item in stock is 15% off. All tools, chemicals, small engines, starters, alternators, 15% off everything in the store. Get the lowest prices of the year on Baldwin filters. Save on all Husqvarna chainsaws, trimmers, and Toro mowers. K&K Parts is your one-stop for lawnmower repair, alternator, and starter repair and machine shop service. Don't miss K&K Parts Annual Customer Appreciation Celebration this Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at 1204 Central Kearney.
What's happening with Norwest? We got problems.
Is it really free?
Do they have a minimum balance?
Not when you open a Norwest free checking account.
Monthly service charge?
Free.
ATM fees?
Free at instant cash machines.
Oh, great!
They're everywhere.
And get this.
Is that
$10 just for opening a checking account that's already free. Plus, add a savings account, loan, or CD. Free long distance.
Ooh. We've got to talk.
If you're looking for superior performance, Food for Less has Tide with bleach to get whites white and colors bright. For grass stains this bad, regular detergents only get it this clean, but Tide with bleach gets it cleaner. Race on over to Food for Less and grab some for yourself. Tide with bleach, now at Food for Less.
The same families who work the land are proud to own their own brand, Farmland. So when you choose Farmland, Farmland bacon, sausage, Farmland ham, and Black Angus beef, you know it's good, wholesome food straight from the independent family farmers who produced it. Farmland, proud to be farmer-owned.
The weather is brought to you by Shelter Insurance. Insurance protection for your home, car, life, farm, and business. Shelter Insurance will always be there for you.
hoping for some highs near 20 this afternoon. At this point, it looks like wishful thinking. With low teens in the Tri-City area, wind chill factors ranging anywhere from about 5 to 15 below, depending on wind velocity at any given moment. And sometimes the breezes are gusting up close to 20. Humidity is mainly in the 60s. Not as much flurry activity going on in the Tri-City area as there is at some other locations. Barometer showing rising tendencies around the 30-60 mark. Temperatures mainly teens elsewhere. 9 at Ogallala last report. Drop in some of those wind chill factors, and you'll see that in many cases wind chill factors feel like sub-teens. Feels like 16 below at Ogallala, 15 below at McCook, for example. Feels like 10 below at Hill City, 11 below at Phillipsburg, with the winds mainly in a 5 to 15 mile per hour range, mostly out of the northeast, but on occasion they are gusting upwards to around 20 miles per hour in some cases. A lot of humidities in the 60s, 50s, 70s, a little higher as you get here into the southwestern part of the map. 88% at Hill City, 80% at McCook. And our overnight lows this morning, a lot of single-digit readings, particularly over about the northern third of Nebraska. Valentine with the state low of 1 degree below zero. You can see that at the present time with Tri-City temperatures in the low teens, we haven't improved a whole lot from our overnight lows. Well, here's how the cloudiness has been moving. You can see that we're getting an influx of some cloudiness from over the Rockies, and we're getting an upslope situation with the high pressure up here circulating the northeasterly wind, taking what moisture we have, driving it up the higher elevations of the western plains, and that's why some of these western areas are seeing a little more snowfall than what other areas will. We'll take a look at the radar, and we've been seeing reports in the last hour from flurry activity from as far southeast in Nebraska as Fall City, scattered on a patchy basis across the southern part of the state. North Platte and Mullen reporting flurries. As far as western Nebraska, it is light snow and, of course, heavier snow down here across western and southern Kansas. This high pressure is what's circulating the upslope situation and keeping us in the cold air. On the other hand, we have an upper air disturbance coming through, triggering off some of the snow activity, and we're going to continue to watch closely some low pressure areas that will be continuing to organize between now and tomorrow evening over the Rockies. That is very likely to continue the possibility of snowfall activity, possibly mixed with freezing precipitation going into the early part of the weekend. For today, mainly teens for highs, occasional snow. It'll be heaviest down here towards southwestern Kansas, where there is a winter storm warning for areas like Liberal and Dodge City and Syracuse. And then for areas like Goodland and Atwood and Phillipsburg, there is a snow advisory for the afternoon. Some areas may see 3 to 5 inches. There may be some areas more like about 2 to 4 inches, though. And then just continued lesser amounts further north and east into the region for the afternoon. Tonight, 5 to 15 above with occasional light snow. Tomorrow, occasional light snow, temperatures only in the 20s. Winds becoming a bit more east-southeasterly. Friday and Saturday, about 25 to 35 for highs, and a possible mix of precipitation forms with the freezing rain more probable over extreme southern Nebraska and northern Kansas. Maybe some clearing out on Sunday, but it sure doesn't look like we're going to warm up a whole lot with expected highs in the 20s.
Not exactly the best forecast you've ever given us. Thanks anyway,
You bet.
Ralph. Federal Reserve says American consumers ran up their credit card debt by 15% in December. Now consumers owe more than $900 billion to credit companies, and with interest rates rising, it just makes common sense to pay off those balances, as Bob Plunkett reports.
For the past 3 years, American consumers have been on a buying spree, and that has helped fuel the strong economic growth. But many of those purchases have been made on credit. Now consumers may be tapped out. In fact, they may have overdone it. At the end of last year, their outstanding balances on installment loans topped more than $900 billion.
They've borrowed about as much as they can borrow now. And I think you will see over the next year or two an end to this real burst, this splurge of consumer borrowing.
The first signs of a spending slowdown are now being seen. Delinquency rates on credit cards are up for the first time in 3 years, reports RAM Research Corporation. In February, nearly 4% of all credit card charges were past due. Banks say they are writing off more car and home equity loans because of non-payment. And credit counselors saw an unusually high increase in customers after the Christmas season. Some of those customers had up to 11 separate lines of credit. For the overall economy, however, the news is good. The drop in spending could slow U.S. economic growth to 2% by the end of the year, from roughly 4% today. And that could satisfy the Federal Reserve, which has been raising interest rates to slow the economy.
They are either at or very near the end of the rate increases for this cycle. We might see one more 1/2 percentage point increase, but no more.
It could take 2 or 3 years before consumers can work off their debt load and be back in a position to start spending again. I'm Bob Plunkett reporting.
And tomorrow our Ag Watch report comes to you live from the Governor's Ag Conference in Kearney. More on that Thursday at noon. Mark Bammer joins us next with the midweek farm markets, and later the 1733 Chorus Sings Gospel. We'll preview the weekend shows. Plus, a handful of cash is a sight to behold for an Ohio woman who dropped it in the mail. Her story still ahead.
We've weathered some of the worst storms, survived some of the most brutal punishment dealt by the elements and the economy. We've helped millions of families throughout the heartland of America do the same. And together, we've come through stronger. For home, car, and life insurance will always be there for you. Shelter Insurance.
See Valdo Ross, Aurora, Paul and Gary Hoos, Grand Island, and Bud Ricketts, Hastings.
K&K Parts Annual Customer Appreciation Celebration is March 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Every item in stock is 15% off. All tools, chemicals, small engines, starters, alternators, 15% off everything in the store. Get the lowest prices of the year on Baldwin filters. Save on all Husqvarna chainsaws, trimmers, and Toro mowers. K&K Parts is your one-stop for lawnmower repair, alternator, and starter repair and machine shop service. Don't miss K&K Parts Annual Customer Appreciation Celebration this Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at 1204 Central Kearney.
Drive carefully and be home by 10. Ever since we started using Bucktail herbicide, old Buck's been spending a lot more time at the farm down the road. That's because Bucktail gives us fast knockdown on velvet leaf, cuckleburr, and other broadleaves. Plus, Bucktail lets us time our spray to the height of the weeds and not the corn. And that lets us adjust to Buck's new schedule.
When it comes to controlling broadleaf weeds in corn, nothing measures up to Bucktail.
Soybeans recovering a little bit today after starting down because of the Brazilian crop.
Apparently they've got a good crop down there and they've had good harvesting weather, and so for the next couple of weeks anyway,
Sure.
There'll be some downward pressure on the soybean pit, but as you mentioned, it has recovered somewhat.
A little bit.
Let's take a closer look now at the NTV farm markets now. Our quotes are courtesy of DTN. Let's start first at the Chicago Board of Trade, where March corn is up 3/4 at $2.35. March wheat up 6 1/4 at $3.56. Here you can see March beans up just 1/2 at $5.55 1/4, and March meal up 20 at $153.40. Kansas City March wheat's up 10 1/2 at $377 1/2. May wheat up 3 3/4 at $352 3/4. Here are the late morning bids from our local terminals. Grand Island corn's unchanged at $2.30 on the spot price and steady at $2.40 on the new crop. Kearney is up 1 on the spot price and steady on the new crop. Hastings is steady on both bids, and Superior corn steady at $2.35 and $2.45. Elm Creek corn's unchanged at $2.30 on the spot price and unchanged at $2.42 on the new crop. Imperial's up 1 on both bids. Beatrice is up 1 on the spot price and steady on the new crop. And Gothenburg corn is steady at $2.27 and $2.39. Grand Island wheat's up 3 at $3.46 on the spot price and steady at $3.06 on the new crop. Kearney up 3 on the spot price, up 1 on the new crop. Hastings up 3 on the spot price, up 1 on the new crop. Superior new crop wheat's up 1 at $3.11. Imperial wheat is up 4 at $3.28. Beatrice up 3 on the spot price, up 1 on the new crop. Gothenburg wheat steady at $3.30 and $3.02. Grand Island Milo is unchanged at $3.75 on the spot price and steady at $3.80 on the new crop. Both Kearney and Hastings are steady, and Superior Milo steady at $3.77 and $4.01. Imperial Milo is up 2 at $3.27. Beatrice up 2 on both bids, and Gothenburg Milo steady at $3.45. Grand Island soybeans unchanged at $5.29 on the spot price and up 1 at $5.48 on the new crop. Both Kearney and Hastings up 1 on both bids, and Superior soybeans up 1 at $5.23 and $5.53. Elm Creek beans up 1 at $5.19 on the spot price and up 1 at $5.48 on the new crop. Imperial's up 1, Beatrice up 1 on the spot price and up 2 on the new crop. Gothenburg steady at $5.09. At the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, April cattle are down 15 at $74.12. March feeders down 20 at $70.87. April hogs down 7 at $39.67, and March bellies down a nickel at $43.15. 8,500 hogs at the 7 markets, which is 2,300 less than a week ago and 700 less than a year ago. 7,300 cattle at the 7 markets, which is 2,900 less than a week ago and 300 more than a year ago. There were 900 hogs in Omaha. Barrels and gilts at 220 to 280 paid 36 1/2 to 38. The sows at 350 to 700 paid 30 to 36. There were 100 cattle and calves on offer, not enough for a market test. Now checking the direct trade, we have active Tuesday afternoon moves, some good numbers. The action's pretty slow this morning. Steer 71.5 to 74 live and 116 to 118 dressed. The heifer 71 to 74 live and 116 to 118 dressed. Direct cash hogs, barrels and gilts at 34.5 to 39, and the sows at 23 to 34. Stocks mixed, but mostly lower following yesterday's rally. Losers lead gainers 9 to 8 on the New York Stock Exchange at midday. The Dow Jones Industrials down 6.22 at 4,004.83. New Commerce Department report on the economy, 4.6% growth in the fourth quarter of last year.
Interesting. All right. Thanks, Mark.
You bet.
Just ahead of us this afternoon, the Vocomotives roll into Kearney to share some gospel music, a preview of the Kearney area Barbershoppers event coming up, and Ralph has a cold weather planner. Plus, a woman who's her own kind of miracle worker. She says honesty really is the best policy. The story after this.
Quick as a wink, quicker than you think.
At Pump and Pantry, they've got fast fill-ups when it's cold. Steaming hot coffee. At Pump and Pantry, they've got cold, fresh milk. And the freshest bread in town. When it's cold outside and you're in a hurry, make it quick at Pump and Pantry.
Pump and Pantry, quick as a wink.
On September 2nd, George Ragel suffered a stroke.
I had a stroke. They took me to Good Samaritan Hospital in Kearney.
When Mr. Ragel suffered his stroke, it was evident that he was going to require specialized intensive rehabilitation and that we were not going to be able to provide that for him locally. Good Samaritan provides quality care. It's close to home, and the follow-up is comprehensive and excellent. When Mr. Ragel went to Good Samaritan, he couldn't take care of himself, and now he's at home and doing all the daily activities that he could not do before.
I joined Jenny Craig, and I love the Personal Taste Program.
You are offered a new way of living because it's so flexible and it gives you lots of choices.
I get to choose the foods that I like to eat.
If I can fit it in my schedule, then I know anybody can.
Announcing the brand new Personal Taste Program only at Jenny Craig. Lose all the weight you want for just $1 a pound. Call 1-800-39-JENNY today. That's 1-800-39-JENNY.
Well, today is Ash Wednesday, of course, and in just a couple of days, you'll have the chance to enjoy your favorite gospel songs, barbershop style. The Kearney area barbershoppers take the stage Friday and Saturday when the 1733 chorus sings gospel. And Les Weber from the Kearney area barbershoppers joins us now with more on that. This particular spring program has a unique name, the 1733 chorus. Tell us about that.
It's the first time that we're going to do a gospel show. You know, that's become sort of a popular thing. So
sure.
Our director, Fran Wilson, has rearranged into barbershop style several of the old standard, you wouldn't recall the Stamp Brothers, but many people out there do remember the Stamp Brothers type of quartet singing. And we're kind of doing a takeoff on that. We'll do Chariot, Swing Low, Sweet Chariot, of course, the old circuit riding preacher.
Lots of favorites. What's the significance of the 1733?
1733 is just our location on the map, 1,733 miles from Boston and from San Francisco. Goes back into the history of Kearney, the 1733.
Now, the Kearney area barbershoppers have several different quartets, a couple of which at least will be performing.
Yes, we'll have 3 or 4 of our local quartets. Of course, our Habitat for Harmony,
right? We had
the Masters of Harmony, and a couple of other quartets, and our feature quartet will be the Vocal Motives. They were silver medalists in international competition in the senior quartet contest a couple of years ago down at Phoenix, and they are great entertainers. They are fun.
That sounds great. A lot of entertainment, but also with a message for the season of Lent. Tell us where and when we can see the show.
It'll be Friday and Saturday nights at, well, the Dixie Band starts at 7 o'clock. The curtain goes up at 7:30. Then we have a Saturday afternoon matinee at 2:30.
And that's the Kearney High School Auditorium.
At the Kearney High School Auditorium.
Les Weber, sounds like a great show. Thanks so much for telling us about it.
You know, I'm going to bribe that weatherman. We just need weather, Bob.
Some good weather. Thanks, Les Weber, for stopping by. Appreciate it. Time now for a look at some of the area's upcoming events from the NTV Datebook. Celebrate the first Friday in March with the Museum of Nebraska Art in Kearney. Visit with your friends and enjoy a short program featuring the work of Thomas Eakins. It all starts at 4:30. Call 308-865-8559 for more information. The Leadership Development Council at UNK presents Schindler's List survivor Zev Kedem on Saturday, March 4th. Registration begins at 10, the address at 10:20. It's all part of UNK's Collegiate Leadership